Hello and welcome back to the United Devils YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing a big discussion on the transfer window, and obviously it's already been going on for a very long time, it would seem, for United fans. But we're going to be doing our expectations, who we want to sign, and whether it's realistic or not. And with me today, I have a guest, and it's Stephen today. Welcome. Why don't you say a little bit about yourself?
Hey guys, actually my name is Shawn from Worldwide Red Show. As you can tell by my accent, I am not from Ireland or Essex or Manchester, or I'm actually a Yank, as you guys would call me, from across the pond, and I follow obviously the greatest club in the world. And so I'm excited to be with you guys. I really did a lot of contributing to different YouTube channels, and over here in the States I do a lot on what's called Sirius XMFC, but a few months ago I decided with COVID just to start my own channel. So it's new, and trying to bring a little different flavor, and I'm new to football Twitter as well, and it's very interesting on there, that's for sure. But I'm just excited to be with you guys today, and we're going to talk some transfers, and hopefully we can talk a little bit about my fellow countrymen, the Glazers, and how much we all wish they would just go away. But anyway, let's get at
it. Yeah, apologies, Shawn. I'll get your name right this time.
It's all good.
So yeah, well, let's start with the Glazers. Obviously, the biggest topic at the moment, and the fact is they've not been good enough as the owners of the club, and certainly in the last 7 years since Sir Alex left. And so did David Gill, and then obviously appointing Ed Woodward as a result was their decision. We have got a Glazers Out article, YouTube video releasing soon as well, but we'll do a bit of back history. Obviously, they did join in 2005, spent £1 billion to get into the club, and actually took that money that they spent from the club to pay for the club. And so the club is now over £1 billion worth of debt. And across the Atlantic, what is that as a United fan in America?
Well, so, basically I believe it was 700 and some odd million of a leverage takeover is what they like to say. We would call that a loan, which you have to have pretty good credit to get a loan like that, that's for sure. It's a shame what they've done to the club. I have a little different perspective because I heard them speak on Manchester United, really in a different setting. So just for a second, for the fans who are going to have a meltdown if I say the word soccer, because in America they use the word soccer a lot, which, by the way, if you don't know this, Americans didn't invent that word. It was actually what the sport was named by the Englishmen that created the sport. But anyway, I digress. We'll say football, but in America, the largest followed sport is American football, and they own a franchise that has been inept pretty much my entire life. They've had maybe a short span of success where they won a Super Bowl. But to be honest with you, they're in their own city, they're not even really supported. So it's interesting to hear them talk about Manchester United when they're talking to American fans, because America is in a very interesting position where football is fairly new to us in this respect. When I grew up, I played 3 different sports, 2 at a very high level. And where I live, football or soccer is predominantly a female sport. So that's why American women always dominate, because the majority of our female athletes either run track or they play soccer. Mm-hmm. And that's changed in the last about 20 years. So the sport is actually growing. We're watching it here in America. It's a great time to be alive. We're watching, where other countries have had the sport for over 100 years, and it's ingrained in the culture. It's new to us. So, I literally started following Manchester United because my wife, I met her in late 97. She's Hispanic. She's Mexican. And her family is all into soccer or football. And they got me involved in it. And I was like, well, I don't like the Spanish league when I was watching it, and they root for different teams. So I started watching England, and I came in around 97. By 99, I was already spoiled. So I've literally been spoiled. So the last 7 years or so it's made me love the club more, but it's made me miserable because we have no ambition to win on the pitch. Our ambition is to make money for the Glazers. It's a business model. But here's the thing people don't get. it is not accurate to say that all of the Glazers do not care about Manchester United, because there's a couple in the ownership group that I've heard speak, and I can tell I think there's even a little power struggle within the Glazers themselves.
Oh,
As
really?
to some of the Glazers are like, we want this team to win more as a status thing, but the majority of them in that whole group look at it as an investment to make money. It's a business. And so the bottom line matters, how much money they literally leverage loans against our club. I don't know if people realize this. They leverage loans consistently, and it's sad. It's sad how the business side of it, they do not care about winning on the pitch. If you notice when it comes to transfers, the only time in the last few years they really dip in and start spending is when we're not in the Champions League. Because it's hard for us, because I don't know if you remember this, but for years we bantered Arsenal because of their top 4 trophy. It was like top 4 was just enough. Top 4 in the FA Cup. And this year, top 4 in FA Cup would have been good for us because of the transition we're in, but that's not good for us. Like, I don't want to just finish top 4. We should be winning leagues and winning the Champions League. And I was just, be quite honest with you, I was just in a long discussion with a City fan on Twitter and a Chelsea fan, and I had to acknowledge the fact that they're ran better than we are. But if Manchester United was ran the way Chelsea was ran, no one in the world except maybe Real Madrid, the Bayerns, the Barças could even compete with us. But, we're stuck in this model. It is what we have. And quite frankly, no matter what people say, it's funny how when Liverpool was building, all you ever heard was net spin, net spin, net spin. They're brilliant. But when we bring up net spin, people don't want to talk about it. They say, well, you spent $80 million for Harry Maguire. We spent $80 million for Harry Maguire. That was a free transfer because we sold Lukaku for the same price and didn't replace him.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We sell to buy, and then we don't replenish the squad. Our first 11 can play with anybody, but after that, we are bare bones. And the truth is, even in our first 11, there can be some fixing up. So, when it comes to the Glazers, I used to say it could be worse. We could have Stan Kroenke because he is an abysmal owner, especially here in America. He's hated. However, even Arsenal are buying people. It's crazy. Yeah. Our Arsenal are buying people. They tell us they're broke, but they bought Pepe last season. They've outspent us last season. They're outspending us this season. So we are really. I'm not trying to be negative because there's so much negativity, but I get passionate because I'm a little angry because maybe I'm entitled, but it is what it is. It's Manchester United's fault. When I started rooting for them, we won all the time. So they've created this entitled monster, and now I just want us to be back where we should be, at least challenging every year, But with the Glazers, we can win with the Glazers. I just don't think that. I feel like if we don't bring a director of football in, or we don't have someone who demands that the manager is back, because I don't know where you stand with Ollie, but I mean, I support him. I really do, and I hope he does well. But some of his shortcomings are obvious. And when you have a manager that's not just tactically brilliant, you have to surround him with great players. And I'm afraid that if we don't back this guy, it's the same cycle. It's don't back, then sack, and start all over again. And so that's my fear.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm all for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think, like you said, he does have limitations. Every manager has limitations, but his ones are being more exposed by the incapabilities of the people above him. And I think the fact is if he were a more demanding manager, like we saw with Mourinho and Van Gaal, they demanded players. They said they were going to get them, and they huffed and puffed when they didn't get them. It could cost him his job.
Yeah.
And so I think he has to be a little bit more tactful and play a little bit more nous on the business side, and then hopefully we can get deals done. Obviously, it looks like Pogba's set to sign a new contract, which is massive. It's not the news we're expecting, but it's still very important news. It doesn't look like the Sancho saga's over yet, even though it's still deadline was supposed to be 13 days ago, 14 days ago. It's still potentially on the cards. We still don't know what's happening there. No one knows what's happening there. I doubt even Ed Woodward knows what's happening there. But it's just all about a waiting game. Like you said, we've still got to be positive. We still have a very good first 11. Like you said, there are improvements that need to be made. I think there's without a doubt. I think we need more competition in the centre-back roles. I think we need a long-term replacement for Matic. And I think Shaw's injury concerns are still a problem. We'll have to see what's happening with the right-hand side, because I think Mason Greenwood needs a bit of a break every now and then. He's only 18 years old. But it's just about how we go about the deals, which players we go for, and realistically how efficiently we can get these deals done. Because most teams have already said for the players that are going to be wanted by the big clubs, because United aren't going for the hidden gems, really. They're not going for the Rodon at Swansea anymore. They're not going for some player from second division Spain. They're going for
Eric Bailly. It's like who? Remember when we signed him? I was like, who?
Exactly.
Eric who?
Yeah, Eric Bailly, Victor Lindelof. Let's say Matteo Darmian. Daley Blind really was a bit of a shock to me. I mean, obviously I saw him at the World Cup, but that was pretty much it. Who else can Romero, really? I mean, that was a steal. But it's just, we're going for the big name in Sancho. Grealish has obviously had a great season. Van de Beek as well. Gabriel's more of a hidden, I didn't know about him until we were linked with him, to be honest. But Pau Torres the same. Other names that I could list off a whole 100 names that we've been linked with so far. But it's just about who we go for. So we'll start with your priorities. How many signings would you like United to make this summer, and who would they be?
Well, we need at least 5, but that's not happening. So, and honestly, sometimes 5 may be too much because it starts to deal with squad chemistry a little bit, and it takes a little longer to gel. So I really would like 3. Really what I would like. My priority is obviously the right wing, because we've never really filled that gap, and no one has really filled that 7 shirt since Cristiano left. And I mean, I was under the impression as an American, because I live not too far from where Christian Pulisic is from, and my sons play pretty competitive soccer, and so we know people that know people. It's a tight-knit community, and he was raised a United fan, and he lived in England for a while, and came through the system here, and the system is just broken in America. It's so broken. It's basically a pay-for-play system for kids. But Pulisic, I was under the impression, was not taken by Jose. Jose fought that because the board wanted him. Obviously, the Glazers wanted him because we make tons of money in America now. You have no idea the pull Christian Pulisic and the next up-and-comer, a guy named Gio Reyna, what kind of pull they have amongst the kids here. So Pulisic in a United shirt. Already in a Chelsea jersey, I hate to see how many they're selling. I mean, you go to a theme park, it's blue everywhere. Pulisic. Wow. It used to be yellow everywhere. Pulisic. And he wanted United, obviously, but Jose didn't want him. Mostly the kind of rumors around here was because kind of his size, but also wasn't his type of player. But ultimately, the board shifted because the person that kept Pulisic out of the Dortmund side was Jadon Sancho. Yeah. And Jadon Sancho can be a generational type talent. We already have one in Mason. Imagine having 2. And we have another one in Anthony Martial if he ever really comes good. The type of talent that they are. But the crazy thing is that which, by the way, Martial is coming good, so I don't want to act like he hasn't been good. Yeah. He's been amazing this season. But if he ever really fulfills that potential is what I mean. When you think of Jadon Sancho, the guy is phenomenal. What the numbers he's doing at his age are just ridiculous. He's setting records for assists and goal contributions. He plays all across the front, and I've watched him with Dortmund a lot, watching Christian as well. He plays the 10, so he'll play that attacking midfielder role. He's perfect. He's perfect for United. Commercially, he's perfect. He's got, they want to call us, Brexit at FC and all that. He ticks every box in the world. And I personally believe the Jan Fjortoffs and the Fabrizio Romanos that there's been a deal that was kind of done that was more of a 70 to 80 million up front, then 2020 over a 3-year staggered pay package. But something's happened in the breakdown between Dortmund and United. I think maybe Ed's happened a little bit. Dortmund's happened a little bit. You got people puffing their chests out because we're trying to steal the narrative. Who's winning this deal? And ultimately, if you think about it from Dortmund's perspective, if I was a Dortmund fan, how would I feel if someone was coming right now to take Mason from us? We would be angry. So we would need the club to spin it in a certain way. And I think that's what's happening. Even though Dortmund is a selling club and everyone knows Jadon wants to leave, here's the fear. If we don't get Jadon this year, I see a lot of YouTubers and a lot of people saying, well, we're just going to go in and get him next year. I'm telling you, here's the fear. The fear is that next year he's wearing red, but it's Liverpool. Because what's going to happen is, I'm telling you, either Salah or Mane are going to be sold next year to fund Jadon Sancho purchase. And why would Jadon Sancho, outside of money and the fact that we're just better than the Scousers, if we're looking at football alone and on the pitch, why would he just come? Why would he play for Ole versus Klopp? Let's talk levels here of look what Klopp has done for guys like Salah and Mane. Look what he can sell them. And so I have nightmares and cold sweats over that's what's going to happen, because I don't think Jadon would go to Spain yet. I'm not concerned with Real Madrid and Barcelona, but I am concerned with Liverpool. And I'm afraid just to slap us, because they know how bad we want him, that they would go all out as a priority and we would lose them. And if that's the case, you won't see me on YouTube for a year, because I'll just be under a rock. And so for me, the priority is Sancho. Write the check, get it done. You know how much. If you go to shop at a high-end store, so if you're going to buy clothes, or to Gucci, you know what it's going to cost you. There's no negotiation. When you go to Dortmund for a great player, there's no wiggle room. You know what they want, unless Jadon puts a transfer request in, but he's probably not going to do that from what we're reading. So, we just need to pay the money. If we pay, he's ours. It's that simple. And for people to say, well, he's not worth it. No player is worth what we have to buy him for. But this is the world we live in.
And this is Manchester United as well.
Yeah.
United always have the
Manchester
extra
United tax. You got an English tax. I saw, I think it was the MEN just put out an article saying that Manchester United be willing to go in for Ansu Fati for $153 million. But yet a few days ago, they said they wouldn't buy Jadon Sancho because 120 was too much.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what are these people writing? That's why I don't believe anything I read. One day it's this, one day it's that. And transfer window is always like that. For me, right wing, top priority, Jadon Sancho. That's it. I've heard people say backups. I don't want a backup. I don't want anybody else. That's what I want. After that, for me, the most important
Sorry to just cut you off a second. Before we go on, actually, another point that we could make is that we saw what happened with Harry Maguire. We wanted him in 2018 even, for 65 million. The board weren't willing to spend it. They spent 80 million the next year. So it might be 108 million pounds instead of 120 million euros. I think United are 10 million off in their valuation. It could be 200 next season.
There you go.
So,
we would probably pay it.
Yeah, we will as well. And they'll say, we finally got Sancho. What a brilliant deal. But United are a season behind again. And so we're going to have to start it again. It might even be with a new manager if we can't get deals in this year. But we'll have to see.
If we don't, it will be.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he'll take the blame.
Yeah.
That's who everyone will blame. It'll be Ollie's fault when he wasn't backed.
Yeah, and it'll be Conte in or Allegri or Pochettino, whoever it is, and the same thing will happen again. I mean, Pochettino's had issues with stingy owners before already. We've seen
that's probably why they want him.
Yeah, and I'm a little scared for Jose Mourinho, because if he's going to want big players, he's not going to get them. Yeah. Sorry. You continue. Who's your next player?
my next issue for me, uh, it's maybe different than a lot of people, but I think that the sixth position, well, the CDM for me, a central defensive midfielder, because I personally believe that if Matic starts that semifinal, we win. Uh, he's not as good at times as Fred, and Fred burns real hot and cold. He can really frustrate you, but Fred doesn't free Pogba nearly enough. And I hate the fact that Paul Pogba is constantly stuck in this dual pivot role as a deep lying six, and he doesn't get the type of freedom that if he had. I mean, I still have not seen us take full advantage of a Rolls-Royce player that is Paul Pogba. And you said something earlier that is really the greatest sign to me that we're going to buy players is that Pogba signs. Because there's no way that Mino Raiola and Paul Pogba sign, as much as Pogba loves United, which I believe he does. There's no way he signs without knowing we're buying people. Because why would he? Why would he stay in this situation when he could get into any team in the world? And so I think that that's a great sign for us. And I'll tell you, that alone, to me, has bought Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a whole year for me. Just the fact that he's got Anthony Martial smiling and Paul Pogba caring and signing, to me, that's good enough. People say, well, he bought Bruno. No. We bought Bruno. All of you guys in the stadium singing what you were singing, they needed to shut that up. So they went and purchased Bruno. And guess what it did? It shut everyone up. And now don't get me wrong, I'm not for anyone going to anyone's house. That was crazy. It's mental. But I mean, you start going to people's houses, they start buying people. You know what I mean? And so I truly believe that Bruno was a fan service signing, and it saved us. However, I just think that when it comes to, for me, I think Matic he's getting a little older. When he's good, he's really good, but sometimes he moves the ball too slow. But the goals that we gave up against Sevilla, the way he covers and busts things up in the back, I don't know. I'd like to think it would have, especially the first goal, I don't think would have happened the way that it did because Fred was so far forward. Matic he don't roam that way. So, but we need someone better. For me, it's a no-brainer. Who I want, we can't probably get. I would want Wilfred Ndidi. I think that Wilfred
Leicester
Ndidi,
problems.
See, I think Wilfred Ndidi is and more what people think Conte still is that he was. So I know people want Conte, and he's up for sale now, which would be a lot of money. But the last 2 years with his injuries, I have not seen the same player. I mean, Fred's numbers have been better than N'Golo Conte. And I'm not saying that he's better than N'Golo Conte because he's not. But are we not sometimes a FIFA generation that because the guy's still good on FIFA, we forget that the last 2 years he's not what he was? Kind of the David De Gea syndrome. He still makes almost every save on FIFA, so he's still, Dave saves. But when we watch games like against Chelsea and he's just like throwing up all over himself, dropping goals in, which I still back Dave. We don't need to get no goalkeepers now. But I'll say this. For me, Thomas Partey would be a great pickup if he would come. Was it 45 million?
It's not a lot, is it?
No. The guy is and he can play anywhere in the midfield.
Yeah.
I would love to have him. I think if I could have any player in the world for Matic's role right now, and money's not an option, we're in dream world, it will be Saul Niguez. That's who I would love to have. But I think Partey is a great option, and he can be got cheap. I'll tell you, I'll say this through grit while I'm gritting my teeth because I don't want to regret this later. But the last few weeks, Declan Rice played well. I don't know how he would. I think
he's Chelsea bound.
Yeah, but I'm saying it could be either. Well, he's the type of player that I don't think for sure he's going to be great, but I can see where he could be. But for me, Thomas Partey. Who would do you think that we should strengthen there? If so, who would you think? Who do you like?
It's not. I think it's my third or fourth choice. I think a sub number 10 is a bigger priority, because I think if Bruno gets injured, our season is ruined, really, because, you know,
that was my number 3.
Yeah. Well, we'll go on to that one in a bit then. But then for the CDM, Partey would be a perfect one, and it would feel a little bit better to steal one from Arsenal. I think if he's willing to go to Arsenal, he's willing to go to United. So I think that would be a good one that we could probably poach.
Is he married? Do we
sorry?
know if he's married?
I don't know, no.
Because I truly believe a lot of players choose Arsenal or London because of their wives.
Really?
I've just read enough stories, and I've been married a long time. And so if my wife was like, listen, I want to live here, or I can live here, but I really want to live here. Happy wife, happy life. I mean, I don't want to come home every day from training to a fight.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, if that's a circumstance for him, then we'll see. But yeah, no, I mean, it would be Sal. I think we've been linked with a lot more recently. I think that's a big sign. The Milinkovic-Savic rumors have died down.
He's played well this year.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, Lazio have done really well, especially with Immobile as well. Fantastic player. But if money wasn't an issue, it's not about money, but David Alaba is such a versatile and brilliant player. He could play as a centre-back, sub-centre-back.
I was thinking that left foot.
Yeah. Did you watch the Champions League final yesterday?
I watched it twice.
I mean, he was
watching it this morning just to find out for sure whether or not I thought things were penalties or not. And, you know, I'll just say this, and I say this very, very cheekily, I guess they would say. I'll say Manchester United would have won a penalty yesterday.
Yeah, I agree.
The one tackle from Kimmich on Mbappe, if that's Rashford, we get that. And I'm okay with it. I got time for it. So
we would have got all the penalties, even if it were against us. They'd be given to us anyway. Yeah. No, that referee had a bit of a nightmare, and even the end with Coutinho. He just got fouled off the ball, and Muller got booked for no reason. That was intriguing.
Did you see the tackle on Lewandowski? There was a tackle on Lewandowski that toward the end of the game that probably should have been a penalty as well.
Guess they're just trying to keep the game.
So you would say you're looking for another number 10 type player. And so let me tell you who I was thinking, because my top priorities this year were Jadon Sancho, a backup attacking midfielder, and a CDM. That's my top, and a left-sided center back. And we can talk about the rest after that. But for me, I think that I think personally that Jack Grealish is the guy I would like to have.
Yeah.
Personally, because not only do I like his style, I think that he's the type of guy that would come in and fight for a spot. He wouldn't demand the start. Yeah. Where someone like Donny van de Beek, everyone keeps mentioning him, I'd love to have him. But I think that Van de Beek, actually, I think he's going to want guaranteed start. I mean, he wants to start. Yeah. And so if he's being courted to start at Real Madrid, why would he just choose to come to United and sit and have to work? You know, that's the thing that concerns me with him. I think he's better than Jack Grealish, personally. But Jack Grealish, how Ed Woodward has not signed this guy? He would make so much money for Manchester. The hair gel sponsorships alone, between hair gel and short socks, Ed Woodward, he's a gold mine, you know, and he can even keep Harry Company in jail for whatever they're doing in the off season. You know, Jack Grealish, I think fits Manchester United. We need some of those characters, the Cantonas. You know, we need those type of characters, and for me, Jack Grealish would be a good rotation player, and we all know this. As much as I love Paul Pogba, he's going to get hurt. He gets hurt every year. Same with Anthony Martial. Same with Luke Shaw. We have a few players that they will miss about a month every season. So you need that guy that comes in that's quality is so similar. And, you know, he's shown this year that he can play all across the front as well. You know, I know he prefers to be an 8. But in box to box, but he's played a lot. If I remember when they played against us, he played up on the left wing almost,
He
up
did,
in the
yes.
attacking position.
Mm.
So for me, it would be Grealish. Van de Beek, I know is a better player. He's
Hmm.
cheaper. I think Grealish priced himself out of this move by
Yeah.
not allowing his team to get relegated.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, don't you think that? If
I
he got
do.
relegated, do you think that his price tag would be 70, 80 million? There's no way.
I think he would have already been signed 2 weeks ago if they got relegated. I think it would have been about 65 million. And it would have been a great signing. I mean, he got 10 goals, 10 assists in the league, which is, I mean, I think only our front three got more goals in the
Yeah.
league anyway. So, I mean, that would be massive. I'm going to throw a couple names out there for you, though, for the number 10 role. Memphis Depay, who we have a buyback clause for, and Danny Olmo of RB Leipzig.
Okay, so Memphis, I really like Memphis. I think that Memphis was a Zaha problem. I think they came too soon. I think this badge here is heavy, and it takes a certain amount of maturity. And Zaha said it himself that he wasn't ready to come to United. And, you know, so I think Memphis, that was the problem for a while. Him and Luke Shaw were brilliant together.
Yeah.
Especially before the leg break. But I'll tell you, there's something about returning to an ex-love. You know, I don't know if I can do it. You know, once we move on, I don't know if I could. Would I have Memphis back? You know, as a rotation player, absolutely. But if you gave me the option, what I've watched from Danny Olmo, he's class, and he's young. No, Memphis is young too, but Danny Olmo, he was a phenomenal in the Champions League, and so I think that he would be a great shout to bring in. And you know, I don't know, Leipzig are a selling club as well, but I don't know his contract situation, so I don't know what it would take to get him out.
Yeah, I mean, he signed in January, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It would be about 40-50 million pounds because he's obviously not shown a lot, but from what he's shown, he's lively. He gets in dangerous positions. He scores goals. He creates goals. It would be a bit of a coup if they signed him, really.
So where did he come from in Spain?
He actually came from Dinamo Zagreb, I think.
Okay, but I know someone bought him from Spain originally, though, right? I thought he was in a Spanish club at first.
I'm not sure. He might have been.
Okay, I'll have to check on that. But yeah, he would be a great shout. I think that we just need I think we need squad depth there because you know, I love Juan Mata. I feel it's a shame that he's never really been played in his proper position at United.
Yeah.
But he's getting older. Juan Mata, if you ever watch this video, I got a spot for you in DC. You can come and play in the MLS. You would absolutely destroy it. You'd hate the travel and the fact that they kick you as much as the championship. Besides that, Juan, come on over. You know, I think he would do so great in slower leagues. But I just don't see him, you know, being functional too much longer. Andreas reminds me of that player that we played with who in practice they're like the greatest to ever touch the ball.
Yeah.
Complete skills, great on the ball, can do everything. But it's just not right between the ears. His final pass, his final decision is so poor that, you know, he's not the answer. Jesse Lingard, we already know that. I just think we need depth there. So for me, if we could get those two positions filled, that would be great. And the rest is just, you know, cherry on the top, as they say.
Yeah. Well, obviously Pereira. I can't say I coined this nickname, but the pre-season Pirlo is what he's named as.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Well, I mean, let's just go quickly over to the left-sided centre back. We have obviously linked with Gabriel Magalhaes, but he looks like he's set to join Arsenal. We have been linked with a few other players, Pau Torres, Deo Upamecano, who's not left-footed but still fantastic. Nordin Mukiele, also at Leipzig, and of course now a free agent from Nice, Malang Sarr, 21 years old, and chose to leave Nice after they couldn't guarantee Champions League football. Any of those take your fancy, or do you think it's not really a priority?
So no, to me, a left-sided center back is a huge priority because while I do like Victor Lindelof, he gets called out some and he's not very good in the air. He was well. The first goal in the Sevilla game was pretty much 5 different people had a role in that problem. The second goal, Bruno let the world know who he thought was responsible for that goal. And I like Victor, but Victor and Harry's game is too similar. And we're not about to bench an 80 million pound captain, you know. So, and Harry Maguire, I think, is going to he'll be even much better next year. And he was good for a lot of this year. I just think he gets a bad reputation because he's at United, and people just like to banter us. Yeah. So he played well. His numbers were great. The thing that disappointed me the most with Harry Maguire this year is his lack of efficiency on set pieces. And I think some of that's because it just doesn't seem like we're really running a lot of set pieces. It's like just we're all moving around just trying to get to something. I don't see a lot of structure there, but that'll come hopefully with coaching. But for me, I am so disappointed because the person I thought was the best partner for Harry Maguire was Axel. And Axel has so much potential, but what do you think about this current injury? Have you heard anything over there or read anything? It's strange to me. Over here, it's like I've heard nothing about how he's hurt, why he's hurt. It's very concerning. Have you heard anything about him?
Yeah, I think it was the long-term injury that kept him out for most of the season. It is said that we're going to have a fully fit squad by the start of the Premier League campaign on the 19th of September. So he should be fit for squad contention, but I'm not sure how much of a role he's going to play in the opening games. I think it will be Lindelof and Maguire, regardless of who we sign, really. I think they will stay as the centre-back pairing. But yeah, it's a shame because I really liked it when he played. Obviously, against Arsenal, he was playing as a left-back. He still played well, except for that one moment. Yeah. One moment again. Against Newcastle, he was brilliant. Even though the goal was Pereira's fault. He was playing Willems onside, but and the shot.
Villa fans love him.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they love the guy. I think for me, in the left-sided center back, I've done a little research since I've been seeing the names listed. Torres does intrigue me, but he doesn't seem to have a lot of pace, and that's our problem.
Yeah.
The problem is pace. We need someone that's fast. Deo Upamecano is a amazing player, but he just signed as well. And his dream, he's made it very public. My dream is to play at Manchester United. He does not hide it. He's been very public about that. However, you know, getting him out of Leipzig right now after just signing a new contract, and his stock keeps rising.
Yeah.
For me, you know, I felt that Koulibaly has always been nailed on to go City or somewhere like that. I think that he would be amazing as well if we could get a decent price, get him at a decent price because of his age. You know, if we got someone like Koulibaly, even for a year or two to partner Harry Maguire and let the guys like Axel and Shawn maybe grow into this role that we're hearing what they can be, you know, we might have something there, and then keep Victor as, you know, the rotation guy. I personally love Eric Bailly, even though I think he's crazy. He does stuff in the I would bench him. I mean, he's doing Cruyff turns in the box under pressure, and he just doing madness. But I think, you know, if he could stay fit, he will be a great player to have around. Obviously, I think that the club owes it, in my opinion, to guys like Chris Smalling to sell them. Where they can be played consistently and a lot. Yeah. I think I like Smalling, and I understand why he's not first choice at United anymore. I can see that, but I think that, for example, if Roma, I've heard a lot about Smalling because Roma's owners are American, and a show I go on, they're on a lot, and Jimmy Pilata, I've heard him talk about this, like, if their valuation is we can pay $17 million, but United want to fight over, they're demanding 19. I'm like, if Chris Smalling wants to be somewhere, suck it up and sell him for 17. You know what I mean? That's just kind of how I feel. But I think that the one guy interests me that I've heard of him, but I haven't done any research, is the young guy, Sar. So
Mhm.
I don't know, what do you think about him? Have you seen much of him? Do you know much about him?
I've seen him play a handful of games, I'll be honest, but from what I've read and what I've seen, he's still a bit raw, which would mean he wouldn't go straight into the squad, which I think is an important factor for anyone who's, a young player, 21 years old. He's left-footed, obviously. He's quite tall. He's got a yard of pace on him. He reads the game very well. He's an intelligent ball-playing defender. He wants to play Champions League football. So I say let him, and he won't cost a single penny in actual transfer fees. It would just be the contract. And if you say you're going to be a squad player, but will compete with Lindelof and Bailly for that role alongside Maguire, I'm sure if he's a hungry player that wants to play for United, get him as soon as we can. I mean, just the way that Chelsea have contacted Thiago Silva before a Champions League final. I mean, we could have done this deal weeks ago, wherever it was, but it's about getting those deals done and seeing whether he's the right player.
Chelsea is moving mad,
Mm.
They're just, I'll be honest with you. If not for their owner, let's be real honest. If not for their owner, Chelsea is not much different than Watford. But in
Yeah.
the last 15 years or so, what they've built and how serious he wants to win, and it's just a different vibe. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, I banter them because I'm always going to feel my club is better, but how they move is big club business, and you can't to hate on them or to talk bad about them is just pure salt, because the fact is they do big things and they don't play. It's funny about except this Havertz deal, you don't even hear a lot about some of what they're doing until it's done.
Yeah.
I know some of that's because they're not, no matter what they ever do, they're not box office like we are. So I get that part. However, I'm envious. I wish we had that type of
Efficiency.
will to win. But I agree with you 100%. If this guy wants to come, and even if he is raw, you take that chance. And so for me, if we had that right wing, if we had the midfield depth, and we had that center back, I think that we are starting to really close the gap. And for me, I don't know about you, but outside of that, and I know this might be controversial for some people, I know a lot of people that maybe watch this won't like this statement. For me, another position that eventually, if I had to count 1, 2, if I had to go to about number 5 or 6, I think the left back position needs to be addressed. Personally, I don't know what you think. I like Luke Shaw. I've always liked Luke Shaw. I feel like his numbers are terrible. He does not get the assists that he should get as a modern fullback at all. I mean, people say how bad Aaron Wan-Bissaka is going forward, but he had, about 5 assists this season?
He did,
Luke Shaw has like 7 in his career or something ridiculous. It's something ridiculous. And I get the leg break and all of that. However, we're past that now. I mean, he should defensively. He's played well this year, and I actually think if Luke Shaw was playing, we would have won the Europa League.
I think so too.
I personally believe that. I believe Brandon Williams, as much as he's tried to come on, and he's a young guy, and so we don't want to slate him. He's done great for himself, and I love his tenacity. He can throw every Chelsea player into the stands that he wants to. I've got time for that. However, he was responsible for some goals, and Luke Shaw, for all of his flaws, would have covered some of that. But I still think we need someone better over there. What is your opinion? Are you like a real pro Shaw guy, or do you?
I like Luke Shaw. I've always sort of thought if he left, it would be left unfulfilled. I think the fact is that we all saw how he was. I mean, when he was fit before the Southampton injury, he had only missed 20 minutes of football while United were unbeaten. We all talk about Bruno Fernandes, but also Luke Shaw's return to fitness and actually being fully fit and not being unfit as he was for bits in January when Williams was taking over his position. He's actually got a lot better, and his attacking play has got better. His cutbacks are still needing work, but I think when it comes to fullbacks, we've got the opposite problem of Liverpool, where their fullbacks can attack, but they're not the best in defending, whereas ours are very, very competent. You could even say brilliant at defending, but in attack is where they still struggle. But that is the easier part of the game to learn than the defending part. If you're naturally a good defender, it'll be easier to learn how to attack better than it will to be able to defend better. So I think that's what he's got going for them. And I think the same goes for Brandon Williams, Wan-Bissaka, Fosu-Mensah. Dalot is the opposite, and I don't know what happens with him, but that's a different story.
I have a theory that people say he's injury prone and he gets injured. He's been injured a lot. We bought him injured, actually. But I have a theory that Dalot might there might be an agreement already to sell him. And so they didn't want to risk injury or something, because it doesn't make any sense that we would bring in Fosu-Mensah the way that we did, have him played forever. When Dalot, people forget. Barcelona and a lot of clubs were in for him as a team. When we got him, and we only got him because of Mourinho.
Yeah.
And so, I love Diogo Dalot going forward. He's something to watch. But defensively, he's a liability. And so it depends on what you want. It's the old Aaron Wan-Bissaka or Trent Alexander-Arnold argument. What are you looking for? If you want to defend, you play with AWB. If you want someone to spam crosses in all day and break people down and make free kicks, you pick Trent. Both, in my opinion, both are equally better than the other at their respective discipline.
Yeah.
And so, if you could put them together, you would have like a Super Saiyan player. You'd have like the greatest player maybe to ever grace the right back position. However, for me, like I said, I like Luke Shaw. He's very serviceable. I think we've missed him. He's not one of my first 4 or 5 things that I would change. I just feel like that there needs to be more production there. From him. And the other thing is, he falls into that category. It seems like he gets hurt every season.
Yeah.
I know it's not his fault. That's why I hear these guys on different channels, on YouTube channels, just blast Luke Shaw. And I'm like, I get it. He's frustrating, but I don't think he's as poor as people try to make him out.
Yeah.
I feel like with Luke Shaw, some people want to act like he's the greatest left back in the league, and other people want to act like he wouldn't even get into, Norwich's side, and they're relegated. So, I think that for me, like I said, I think going forward, eventually the left back position, even if it's backup, I think the young guy, where was he playing? He might have been at Norwich. He was at Norwich.
Jamal Lewis.
Jamal Lewis, that's it. I think he would be a serviceable player. What do you think? Someone that obviously he's not coming in to start. So maybe if we could pick up someone like that cheaper that would push Luke Shaw, because I felt like Brandon pushing him may have been what helped increase his game. Because with Luke Shaw, I not only have I played a lot of sports, but I coach a lot, and different players respond to things differently. Luke Shaw seems to be one of those guys that maybe needs someone to put his arm around him and hug him and really talk to him. And some people don't need that. They need to be yelled at. So I don't know what Luke Shaw needs, but maybe he needs to be pushed. For me, from what I'm hearing from the academy, again, you can't go by what you hear from the academy, but we have a young right back coming through that's going to give Aaron Wan-Bissaka some trouble.
Is that Ethan Laird?
Yeah. Ethan. So from what I've seen and heard, I think we have someone there to push Aaron, but we need someone to help push Luke.
Yeah.
I think that, like I said, those are the positions, the main positions I would strengthen, like I said, is that front 7 shirt, that Jadon Sancho, please make this happen. Then for me, it will be the midfield and that left-sided center back, and not necessarily in that order. Those are just the four things that, I think we could get done this window. Likely, I think we'll get 3, but again, this is the most nervous I've been in a transfer window. Since I've been following United.
It's probably because we've got PTSD from the 2018 one, which was non-existent. But on that
Yeah,
point,
we did get Lee Grant.
oh yeah, of course, yeah. No, can't believe I forgot about Lee
Brilliant,
Grant.
brilliant. I mean, listen, no one can carry those gloves and help coach like Lee does. He's
No, that's
obviously worked wonders for David De Gea, so he's a great signing.
true. Just quickly before we finish on that point on Luke Shaw, I mean, where it would leave Brandon Williams is a question. But what could happen is you have someone who can play both a centre back and a left back, and offer experience and coaching, and that for me is David Alaba.
Yeah. Oh.
So if we got David Alaba, problem
Oh my
solved.
goodness. No, that to me, that's another one of those dream signings.
Yeah.
David Alaba is a dream signing for me right now. He's left-footed. He was arguably one of the best left backs in the world.
Yeah.
And he moves to more left-sided center back. But here's the thing I've found watching this sport for the last few years where I've really been following the transfer window. I just don't see you getting players from Bayern. I mean, they not only do they have such a monopoly on the market when they want a player, when they, the German player or that Swiss, German, that kind of region of Europe, when they want a player, they get them so cheap. I mean, I think their whole squad yesterday only cost around 100 million.
90? Yeah, 90 million.
It's well, and here's the thing. Again, from being on this side of the pond, it kills me knowing that, Alphonso Davies was, well, he was a left winger, but he could play both wing and left back. He was offered to United.
Yeah.
And they just don't trust the scouting network. Not just that, I think that as an American, I fight this all the time because they say soccer, they don't know what they're talking about, all that kind of bigotry and bias against us when it comes to this sport. So I think the very idea of taking a player from the MLS, I think there are some clubs in England that would never even consider it, where Germany is just buying up all of the talent. People think Christian Pulisic is good. You wait until Giovanni Reina, if he becomes even half of what he's projected to be. And that's what people say. He's already at Dortmund. And people don't know this. That's a slap in City's face, how they let him go. When Captain America himself, Claudio Reina, played for City. He was in City's organization. He's coaching in City. He was in MLS doing all this stuff. And his son, who is highly rated, last year he was, even Erling Haaland was like, this guy's ridiculous, and he's 16. So he was playing at Dortmund, scoring goals last year at 16.
Yeah. And
so he's only going to keep getting better, and City could have had him basically for free. But, where is he coming from? That's Alphonso Davies. If we had him right now, I mean, I would take him over Luke Shaw right now. That's for sure. But, I mean, David Alaba, to me, is just class. I mean, he is. But like I said, unless he ran his contract down, I just don't see Bayern selling anyone they don't want to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that makes me nervous. But you're in with the perfect shout right there. I mean, for me, now that you said that, because I've never thought about it, but saying his name, I mean, I don't know what we would need to do to sign him, but that's a perfect signing.
Well, if reports suggest it would only be about 40, 45 million.
Oh, no. Well, I see. Now, if that's true, this is along the lines of the Thomas Partey thing, because we don't know what happens behind the scenes. But if that's true, why would you not? That makes zero sense. Now, here's the other thing I kind of mentioned this with Donnie Van de Beek as well. One thing I think that where FIFA has really ruined a lot of us is that sometimes we think that we can just get anyone if we pay it, but we don't stop to think, will they come?
Yeah.
So maybe they don't want to live in England. And that's what happened with Griezmann. Ultimately, Griezmann didn't want to get rained on. You know what I mean? He didn't have the stomach for it. So, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. But if 100% Donny Van de Beek, Thomas Partey, David Alaba, those guys would come.
Mm.
And they're under 50 million. There is no way you don't buy those players. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be a dream. That's for sure.
Absolutely, and we'll only have to wait and see what happens in the next. Well, there's only 26 days left till United start their campaign. They're starting back in pre-season in, if I'm not mistaken, 9 days' time. So we'll see what can get done in the following week. I'm afraid that is all we have time for this week. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Shawn for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, man. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you. It's been great.
Yeah, and please check out Shawn's website, Twitter page, and YouTube channel. And of course, we'll have those down below on our description. If you have any questions or topics you would like for us to cover in the next YouTube video, please comment below on the YouTube video, on the Twitter or Facebook post. And if you enjoyed this, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on Twitter for all of our content. Thanks, bye.